नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां नमामि शरणं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं नमामि शरणं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं यशोदाभियालोकलाब्धवमानं यशोदाभियालोकलाब्धवमानं परमेष्टमतन्तं द्रौपदं रुदन्तमोर्नेत्रा जुग्ममे जन्तम् करम्बुजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रं रुदन्तमोर्नेत्रा जुग्ममृजन्तं करम्बुजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रं मोहशासकं त्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ सीतैर्गर्भधाम भक्तिवादं सीतैर्गर्भधाम भक्तिवादम् इति दृक्षलीलाभिरानन्दकुन्दे सगोसनि भजन्तं भक्ष्यामय तदीयसितागेषु भक्तेजितातं तदीयसितागेषु भक्तेजितातं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षपदिम्बान् वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षपदिम्बा न चान्नं वृणेऽहं परेशादपीह वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षपदिम्बा न चान्नं वृणेऽहं परेशादपीह इदन्ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् इदन्ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनःशावीरास्तकिमन्ये सदा मे मनःशावीरास्तकिमन्ये नितान्ते मुखं भुजायातन्तनीलये नितान्ते मुखं भुजायातन्तनीलये वृन्ताकुन्तैलय स्निग्धारातिश्च गोपा वृन्ताकुन्तैलय स्निग्धारातिश्च नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभु दुःख जलब्धिमग्नं नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभु दुःख जलब्धिमग्नं कृपा दृष्टि बृष्टाति दीनं बतानु कृपा दृष्टि बृष्टाति दीनं बतानु गृहानेशमामज्ञ ये दक्षिदृशये गृहानेशमामज्ञ ये दक्षिदृशये कुबेरात्मजो बद्ध मूर्ते भजादात् कुबेरात्मजो बद्ध Murte Vajadvat Tayamocito Bhakti Bhajo Prito Cha Tayamocito Bhakti Bhajo Prito Cha Namami Saram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Kover Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Damne Tadiyadarayatha Vishashadamne Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Damne Tadiyadarayatha Vishashadamne Namoradhikaye tadiya priyaye 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 Namayananta Lila Devaya Tubam Namayananta Lila Devaya Tubam Namami Sharam Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kunda Lam Gokule Brajamanam Namami Sharam Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Bhagavad Gita Path kari Sruta kari Bhakta Binda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Gaur. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vaishnava Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Prachani Nivishesha Surnavadi Paschata Desha. Hare Krishna, Prahladananda Prabhu, Somen Prabhu, Madhar Madhavi, Sushilpa, Devidasi. Nice to see you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Neha
Prabhu,
Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. I hope you all having a wonderful Damodar Vrata observation, celebration.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, offering lamp every day. Singing.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, every day we are offering.
And singing also the glory.
Yes, Prabhu. That Damodar Stokam, Prabhu. Every day we are chanting.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So,
Happy
as a
Diwali from Govind Prabhuji. Happy Diwali.
happy Diwali, Mata. Where are you?
I
You are
am in Kansas.
Kansas.
Yes.
Wow, that's a little far. I'm in
Yes.
Las Vegas right now. I came for a week preaching, and it's very beautiful temple. Need more devotees, so we have to start making some devotees here. I think Casino probably produce some devotee. No, Casino will not produce devotees. Devotees will produce devotees.
So Prabhu,
So,
Nataraj Prabhu is there, right? In Las Vegas temple, Nataraj Prabhu.
Nataraj Prabhu, I'm not
He's in
sure.
Nataraj Prabhu. Nataraj Prabhu actually.
Residence in the temple? No. Maybe
Uh,
outside, you mean?
He's in Las Vegas, Prabhu. He came to Tampa, visited. His wife Sundari Mataji also wrote many Ekadasi Brata that like that books. Many like what is the good like foods. What is the purifying our soul. Jogi Nataraj Prabhu. So he is from the Las Vegas that I have heard. So he visited Tampa 2 times.
Haribol Prabhu.
Prahladananda Prabhu knows.
Yeah, I think Nataraj Prabhu and Sundari Mataji, they were here, but they left.
Oh.
They left. They were here for some time. They were conducting yoga classes in the Sanatan temple also.
Oh.
So that's what I know. Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you, Prahladananda Prabhu.
What
So,
kind of temple they have in Las Vegas, Prabhuji?
what kind what?
What kind of temple they have in Las Vegas?
We have ISKCON temple, beautiful temple. We have a guest room. What we need is a vibrant devotee association. They have a congregation in the evening, but morning sadhana, we need little more vibrant devotees. So we have to make devotees in order to start. And we have our wonderful teacher who lives here, Prahladananda Prabhu. I'm going to talk to him, meet him, and see what we can do. Hopefully,
He's from Gujarat, right, Prabhuji? He's Gujarati like me.
Prahladananda Prabhu, Bari
Yeah,
is Gujarati.
I'm a Gujarati from Baroda, India.
Me too. I'm
Okay.
from Ahmedabad.
Okay.
Very
Nice.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Gujarati community here. Actually, last evening I gave a small class, and there were very few. Good number. Very.
About 200-300 families, Gujaratis.
Oh, but
300 families.
they're very dedicated. Can be very dedicated. So wonderful.
They are very dedicated to S double stroke.
What is that?
That is dollars.
Oh.
Anyway, there are also good devotees also here. Also, Aruni Mata who comes and Padmaven who comes, they are our long time association devotees, you know. Yeah. Even
Thank
before,
you.
yeah.
Well,
even
thank
before
you.
Las Vegas is started. Haribol.
I'm just thanking you for inspiring them to keep going.
I'm very insignificant, Prabhuji. You know, I'm just in trying my little book distribution here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's catch up with the 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, if you have in front of you. And we discussed few times what this chapter deals with, but it's always good to refresh. That's chapter 7 deals with 3 subjects mostly. One is knowledge of Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Truth, and the process of attaining that knowledge. And third is the end result of such attainment. So such a beautiful chapter, I would say, as we discussed before, the vital part of the Bhagavad Gita, every word is important, but still the first 3 chapters, 6 chapters, then last 6 chapter, and in the middle is the bhakti are cased in 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they're very important. So we discuss about 4 types of people due to their meritorious. They have a sukriti, so they come. And before that, we discuss also there are 4 duskriti who are notorious. They don't come to surrender. Then Lord Krishna explains that out of 4 jnani, the bhaktis are superior. And then text 19, I think last week or week before, last week, yeah, we discussed that how those who are coming to Krishna after many, many lives, they are very rare. And they are called Mahatmas. So today we will discuss 20 to 22 about those who wants to surrender but don't want to surrender to Krishna. Who are they? So the demoniac, notorious, they don't surrender. Meritorious surrender. But beside them, there are also people. And we all are familiar with them. So let us discuss those. We are going to begin with text 20. Before that, we are praying to Lord Vasudev to give us clarity of our consciousness so we can perceive Lord Krishna's sublime message through this sweet word. So please join together. We can recite together. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayesu abhadresu nitam bhagavato sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki makankarati vachalam pangulangayate girim jat kripa tamaham bande Sri Guru dinatarinam Sri Chaitanya Isharam Paramananda Madhavam. So verse 20, 7th chapter. If you ever met some people who does not reject Krishna, they'll say, yes, 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 Krishna, yes, yes, Krishna is Bhagavan. We respect. But they don't surrender to him. Who are they? But they do surrender. Soul is always try to belong to someone. This is natural because soul has eternal relationship with Krishna. So he is searching each man and woman body or each soul forever searching out where can I find that I can be completely belong to him or her. Then never. So they try life after life and they fail, try, fail, until they come to know Krishna as their only beloved. And from that doesn't mean they immediately will jump into it, but they will understand and then purified heart when they finally connect Krishna, then they never move. Eternally they live happily. So today's verse, when I was reading just now, and I was thinking like, when you meet a people who does not reject Krishna, they kind of believe in Krishna, but they don't want to surrender to him. They like the Hare Krishna people. They will talk to the Hare Krishna people, but they don't want to be part of like a daily sadhana or practice. Or if anybody ever find, there are plenty. You're talking about millions of people like this. So regarding them, Krishna is talking these 3 verses. So I hope you all understand from where Krishna is speaking about this verse. So who would like to read the sloka and the translation and the purport? Anyone volunteer? Yes, Mother Sushilpa Devi Dasi. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
7.20. Kame sthir hrata janana
Jnana.
prapadyante gnana prapadyante nya devata tam nityamam akshaya prakritya nitya swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Purport: those who are freed from all material contamination surrender unto Supreme Lord and engage in his devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. But even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by the external nature because the Supreme because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is a pure devotee and is free from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. As stated in Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusam param. Less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in the lower modes of nature, ignorance and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord is not misguided. Because in Vedic literature, there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a deceased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are not devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes, demigods are better than the Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Kanda 5.142, it is said, Ekale Ishwara Krishna Ara Sabha Bhartiya.
Britta.
Britta.
Britta means servant.
Okay. Ara Sabha Britta. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is his master and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material needs. He depends on Supreme Lord. And the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Back to you.
Very nice. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is a verse we can begin of thinking how one progresses. Krishna is saying about those who would not reject him, but would not surrender to him. You follow? These are called demigod worshipper. Means they want to surrender, but they don't want to surrender to Krishna. They want to surrender to Shiva, Ganesh, who else is there? Manasa Devi. I forgot. But there are plenty. In India, there are plenty. Name, you'll find every village has some worship going on. Amba Devi, this Devi, that Deva. Also in South America, I found many places. Now, this verse, Kamesteste Ritagyana. Kames. Kames, the word kames here means the separate interest. When we talk about material desire, what is material? What is lust means? A separate interest. Lust doesn't mean only sex. I hope you all understand. It's a misappropriate otherwise. Lust means that when you are craving for position, when you're craving for your distinction, your adoration, why people don't like me. This is also lust, subtle form of lust. It's more dangerous than sex because this cannot be satisfied easily. I met one person one time, many years back, somebody introduced who were fighting for his name in the street that he was born in Amsterdam. It's only $62. And the city did not allow. And it went on and it took almost 10 years. And he was fighting. It went from $62 to $17 million because he became so rich in New York and he demands his name to be there on the street corner. That this little lane is named after him. I don't know who cares for that, but it was like such a big deal. Finally, he paid $23 million and after 1 month he died. So you wonder like, what happened here? Was he really enjoying that name that he has given name by his parents and he wants that street to be named? It's very, but that soul journey is not over. He will take birth somewhere and it will keep on going. He wants that name, his name, whatever name he gets, whether he gets cockroaches or rats or mice, we don't know. But because in Hawaii, this happened also. When Prabhupada was walking by and they saw this pest controller talking, Prabhupada inquired that what happened here. He said, oh, they removed the roaches. So then they inquired. So Prabhupada's question is, why a roaches will come on the 25th floor in Hawaii? Those days, 25th floor was like a highest building. You know, they didn't have 100 stories. So a very interesting question Prabhupada asked, that why a roaches will be found in 25th floor. And if you trace it, you'll see the man who owns that building, he was feeling, I live in the highest top floor in the whole city of Ireland. And he was bragging about his achievements so high that he didn't, but problem is due to ignorance, he did not know how the transmigration works. Your attachment to the floor is a dead matter. Brought him as a roaches. scary the way Prabhupada explained that. And now they bring the exterminator, they come with their pest gun or whatever the way they remove, and they kill those roaches. So you bragged about your achievement. You got, build the highest building in America, 25th floor, and live there, and you died. Then you come back as a roaches because of that attachment, and somebody comes and kick you out. So where is the gain? So because we try to think deeply about this, that's why we should not be so much desperate to look for our material comfort, material prestige, material this. This is actually will drag us down. The purpose of human life to reawaken the love for Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead, and forever live there. So in this verse, it says, Kamestastir. Because of material desire, what happened? Ritagyana. Ritagyana means the intelligent. That the attachment to the 25th floor will take me to the roaches life. That vision cannot be seen because intelligence is choked, destroyed. Rita means like aparita, like stolen, abducted, you can say, removed. Now it says prapadante. Now prapadante means they are surrendering. Oh, that's a good news. But they surrender to prapadante who? Krishna says Anna Devata. Anna Devata means they will surrender not to Krishna but to somebody else. There are a lot of people in this world. No, I believe in Jesus. No, I believe in Allah. I don't need anything. People think like this. Even though they don't think of God, Supreme Absolute, they just be very specific for their particular reason. Whether they're born with a particular blood or family or culture, and they become attached to it instead of open-minded to see what is the meaning of God means, what is the purpose of life, and all this. So then Krishna says, Tam tam niyamam astaya. Tam tam niyama astaya. So one follows the rules. Niyama means rules, regulation. They follow the rules accordingly. Tam tam niyamam. What are the niyamams? What are the rules? Prakrita niyata shaya. Very scientifically spoken. Krishna spoke very scientifically. The rules according to one's own prakriti. So here Sri Krishna explained why do some people not surrender to him but to other demigod or other god. Srila Prabhupada explains in the section in his commentary, very nice, that actually some people says all gods are one. But here Krishna clearly differentiating. Krishna did not say, I am also Anna Devata. Did Krishna say that? No. If you pay very close attention, he says, myself or other. Anna Devata means other God. Krishna did not say all God is one. There are some people, he thinks, that all are same. No, it is not same. Krishna is not amalgamating like all one. Now Krishna says, Prapadante. So those who surrender to other God, there is a categorical difference. The two which Sri Krishna is mentioning over here, that indicates there are different gods, and it is not that all of them are one, they are all different. So when one understands this, then one understands very clearly that all paths are not one. All gods are not one. There is Supreme Lord, there are other demigods. Kamestiste ritagyana prapadante anna devata. It is very clear. Anna devata, other gods. Tam tam niyama astaya. Now one follows the rules according to one's nature. Prakrita niyata shaya. So Krishna is referring here, how there are Puranas within 3 modes. And these Puranas, they direct people to worship according to the propensity of the people. So this is another point Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. Very nice. That who are the other people, what modes they are motivated by, and why they go to that. Now, according to the level of consciousness of the people, like Tamasic Purana guides people to worship Shiva. Now, Prabhus and mothers, I'm not saying that if you see a Shiva Bhakta, you think like, oh my God, they are ignorant people. No, don't look down like this. That's not proper. But we should be aware of it. Krishna did say that we should be aware, but we should also be compassionate. So, Tamasic Puran for worshipping Shiva, Rajasic Puran guides people to worship Brahma, Sattik Puran, Satvik Puranas guide people to worship Vishnu or Krishna. So, Prakrita Niyata Shaya, the word Prakrita, what I understand, the Vedic system is created in such a way that according to level of people, people can worship, they can become elevated. That is the point. You follow? Like if somebody is tamasic and they worship Shiva, actually they will elevate from ignorance. So we are not against Shiva worship or Brahma worship. So this is a broad encompassing nature of the Vedic system. And it encompasses people from lowest mode to the highest mode, provides them custom-made method for elevation. Prakrita Niyata Shaya. Okay, somebody is addicted to meat eating and drinking. Then can such person become religious? So such a person cannot become religious at the highest level, but that doesn't mean that person cannot at all become religious. Yes, for the practice of serious spiritual life, for the sake of attaining liberation, it is not possible for such a person. I hope you all understand that point. If he wants to drink alcohol, eat meat, and also want liberation, no, that doesn't go along. That's not possible. He has to elevate first to get out of the eating meat and drinking alcohol. But can he be religious? Yes. But if the person is not ready to give it up, that doesn't mean that person exiled from the house of religion. Such a person is still accommodated with the religion. How is that? They are custom-made forms of religion, rules of religion, practices of religion. Just like one doctor in San Diego, she would fast every Monday. She, from her childhood, she grew up like this, and she fast every Monday. When she came to America, she maintained that. So I remember I went to their house and we talked about, I said, you know, following Ekadashi is more important than fasting on Monday. But if I tell you that, you may feel like I'm attacking you. So I will not say, but if you feel like, that's okay. You are doing it on Monday, but I think it will be nice if you can also follow Ekadashi. She gives me a logic. Oh, my health cannot do too much austerity. I can just do, you know, bare minimum. Then I learned that if you glorify the glories of Ekadashi, then she can switch. Instead of fasting once a week, she can do once every 2 weeks. So I went that route. I said, you don't have to do fasting every Monday, even though you do it for Shiva worshipping. But if you can do every 2 weeks for Ekadashi, it will elevate you to a higher consciousness and you will also get out of karma. All the sinful nature will be burned to ashes. So like that can be, we can encourage them. And she actually adopted that. So that's a good thing. Now, people can offer mangsa, meat to Kali. They can take mangsa. People can offer bhang. I don't know if you know what is bhang. They say in Bengal. Some people play cards and smoke bhang. It's kind of like a marijuana type of, I guess, to Lord Shiva. This is also allowed. We discussed earlier the concession, recommendation, and instruction. Recommendation is good if you do it. It is recommended to do it. Instruction means you should do it. And recommendation means you can do it. Concession means you wanted to do it and I will allow you to do it. So the concession are given in this case for those people who are at the level of consciousness, prakritta niyata saya. Now we may say that actually in Kali Yuga, people are also in lower modes. Then should people practice tamasic mode of worship? Because most people are in Rajagun and Tamagun. How can they practice devotional service, which is meant for those who are in goodness? So here, Lord Krishna actually talking about the normal system. If a pure devotee intervene in the life of a person, if the devotional force comes in the life of a person, then normal person can also be transcended. I hope you all understood that point. So instead of taking gradual staircase, one can take a swift elevator and move forward. The difference between the two is whether one gets access to the mercy of Krishna coming through a pure devotee, and another one accept that mercy. So one should be fortunate enough to accept that mercy, and one can also move fast. Now, Srila Prabhupada was so compassionate that he has elevated people who were there in Tamagun also, like hippies, who used to do all the anti-spiritual activities. They are also elevated, that the mercy of pure devotee. But normally we have to understand that bhakti is not always easily accessible, even in the Vedic culture context. Bhakti is not always available. It's a fact. Bhakti is always rare, durlabha. So when bhakti is not available for people, are they doing all irreligious activities? Are they living all materialistic, godless life? No. The Vedic culture facility by which they can elevate gradually, that is the system of demigod worship would be available. So that is indirect worship. Now Bhagavatam, Mataji just read also very nice Prabhupada's purport. Bhagavatam recommends pure devotional service. And here Srila Prabhupada has quoted the verse from Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi tibrena bhakti yogena jajeta purusham param. So even whatever desire one has, whether it's akama sarva kama va, whatever desire one has, moksha kama udaradi, one will be elevated and liberated if one just jajeta purusham param, if one worships Supreme Lord. How one worships Supreme Lord? Tibrena bhakti yogena, with intense bhakti. So we just worship the Supreme Lord with intense bhakti. We can all become liberated. That is the glory here in this purport Prabhupada mentioned. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So akama sarva kama va moksha kama udardi. Akama refers to one who has no material desire. Sarva kama means he or she has full of material desire. Moksha kama means desire for liberation. So this is the Bhagavatam recommendation. Ultimately, whatever one's level is, let the person worship. Let him worship the Supreme Lord. Those who cannot understand this principle, they may worship other demigods. They will also become elevated gradually. But Prabhupada recommends, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Ishwar Krishna or Sabhritta, only the Supreme Personality of Krishna is the only master, and all other God are his servant. So this is a beautiful verse. I hope we all understood what Prabhupada so nicely explained this. We'll go to the next verse. Who would like to read? 21. Now Krishna will tell you how merciful he is. He is a non-envious God. Anybody would like to read the 21?
Yes, Prabhu, I can. If somebody wants to read, then that's fine, Prabhu.
Now go ahead, Prabhu. You can read.
Okay, Prabhu. So, Bhagavad Gita 7.21. Yo yo yam tanum bhakta Shraddha yarchitam ichchati tasya chalam shraddham tameva viddadhami aham. Translation: I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So, purport: God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigods, the Supreme Lord, as super soul in everyone's heart, understands and gives facilities to such persons. As the Supreme Father of all living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why the all-powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world and so lets them fall into the trap of the illusory energy. The answer is that if the Supreme Lord of Super Soul, as Supreme Lord as Super Soul, does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes, but his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita: one should give up all other engagement and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. Both the living entity and the demigods are subordinate to all to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a diseased person is recommended to worship the sun god. A person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastras, Vedic scriptures, for different modes of worship of different demigods. And because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod, and so he successfully receives the benediction. The particular mode of the devotional attitude of the living entity toward a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord or the Super Soul who is present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to men to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they have no independence. In the Vedic literature, it is stated the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the Supreme Will. They are not independent. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Very good. This is a beautiful verse. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta saddayam architam ichchati. Tasya tasya chalam saddham tam eva vidadhami aham. This is very confidential, actually, if you look at it. All the people that worship any other god beside Krishna, they are actually arranged by Krishna. Otherwise, they would not be able to even worship, whether Jesus, I want to worship Jesus Christ. Well, you cannot worship without Krishna. Krishna is revealing secret here. The whatever tonu refers to form, one feel attracted. I want to worship Buddha. One desire, ichchati means desire. Archita ichchati. I want to worship this god, Kali. Ichchati is desire. Normally, when we worship, there has to have some faith, shraddha. Architam ichchati. One desire to worship, but there has to be faith. Without faith, they cannot. So Krishna says here, tasya achalam shraddha. I make that shraddha, faith, achala. I make that unshakable faith to worship that God. So if somebody worship Kali, it's not like he is worshipping Kali. It is Krishna who is helping him to worship Kali because he desired. That's why Krishna used the word vidadami, strong faith. Achala. Achala means not moving. Chala means moving. Achala means non-moving faith. It is very significant here. That means Sri Krishna is explaining that he is so kind that he does not reject demigod worship directly, nor reject the people who are demigod worshipper. He is not concerned with his own glorification. He is concerned with others' elevation, our elevation. Normally speaking, our material boss wants to know everyone that I am the boss in this material world, isn't? If somebody else comes along, for example, there's a CEO, an assistant manager, and someone comes to office and praising the assistant manager as if he is the CEO. The real CEO will become angry on both of them. Why are you praising him? Why are you accepting the praise? But Prabhus and mothers, Krishna is not like that. This is the point. Very nice. The Lord Krishna is not like that. Krishna is happy when devotee glorify him, but he understands that glorification is based on devotion. That glorification is not flattery. We don't flatter Krishna. That glorification is not centered on the ego of glorification. It's a reciprocation of love. So if we love someone, we appreciate that person, isn't? And naturally, when we love, we will glorify that person. So like that, when we understand, then we move forward in our spiritual progression. We move forward in understanding compassion of Krishna. Sometimes devotee may be doubting. If Krishna is supreme, why Vedas talk about other demigods? Sometimes other demigods are mentioned as supreme. In Shiva Puran talks about Shiva, the supreme God. Why they are saying like this? This shows how large, how much hearted Sri Krishna is. He is so large hearted that he is not concerned whether everyone recognizes my position or not, whether people glorify me or not. If they understand that, that is great, because that is the way of ultimate liberation. That is the way to ultimate happiness. That is the way to supreme fulfillment. But if they are not ready to do, at least let them elevate from the lower modes to higher modes. Therefore, what Sri Krishna does is he gives the demigods the power. He gives the demigod worshipper faith. So he's saying, Tasya Tasya Achalam Shraddham. I make their Shraddha Achala. I make their Shraddha Achala. Okay, you wanted to worship that particular demigod? I'll give you faith in that demigod. Then by worshipping that devata, you will get elevated. So I give faith, that's what Krishna is saying, and I elevate. I facilitate the elevation. Tam eva bidadami aham. Tam eva, to him. Bidadami aham, I give it, Krishna says. Krishna is present as a super soul in the heart. He says, okay, you wanted to worship that particular demigod. I will give you faith. That way, we will understand Sri Krishna's broad-mindedness. A devotee appreciate that. Of course, the devotee does not get involved in demigod worship. When we understand Sri Krishna's glory, we focus more on Sri Krishna's glory, exclusively, singularly. But we appreciate broad heart of Krishna. So when someone sees a translation, it is mentioned, I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. Now, Prabhus and mothers, he may ask, in this verse, there is no mention about super soul. There is no Paramatma. There is no Hridaya. Where is Krishna talking about anything like this? So Srila Prabhupada often integrate the translation and the purport to illuminate the translation better also. So sometime when he wanted to explain certain points to us, on those points Srila Prabhupada does such thing that our conception will become clear, so that we won't get unnecessary misunderstandings. Now Krishna says, Tasya Tasya Achalam Shraddham. So where is faith ultimately? Faith is a matter of heart. Krishna is present in heart. Srila Prabhupada is pointing that Krishna gives a faith. So depending on our desire, whatever kind of faith we want, Sri Krishna will give that kind of faith. So he used faith in himself. When we choose to develop faith in Krishna, Tameva Bidadamiham, I give that faith to him. And after that, Sri Krishna will describe further. So I hope you all caught it. The Krishna says that if you strongly desire to worship him, he will give you faith. You get faith from a devotee, from a senior devotee who has faith. You also have to have a desire, so then Krishna will give you faith. Now, Srila Prabhupada's purport, if you look at it, we just read, some may ask why the all-powerful God gives facility to the living entity for enjoying this material world. So let them fall into the trap of the illusory energy. Somebody may ask that question. The answer is given here that Supreme Lord as Super Soul does not give such facility. Then there is no meaning to independence. So one such facility which Lord gives to exercise independence is the demigod worship. So through this, Krishna allows living entity to turn towards him. And gradually, by slowly moving forward, suppose they are worshipping in Tamagun, they will rise from Tamagun to Rajagun, then Sattvagun. So here Prabhupada explains both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. Here Krishna talked about how living entity faith will be enhanced by the demigod. And now he will talk about how demigods are also empowered by Krishna. So this is a beautiful verse. I was thinking that some of you may wonder, like, why Krishna, when Krishna is the judge, he is a neutral, and how is his role reconcilable with deism? Now, a judge can be neutral, still do the work of judgment, isn't? Judge is a neutral, but he still does the work of judgment. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a good example of that. In fact, the judge is expected to be neutral. Neutral is not the same as passive. I hope you all understand that. Passive means one who does not do anything. Neutral is one who does not favor anyone. A judge is expected to hear both the side, the plaintiff and litigant side. Plaintiff side is the defendant side. Then give an unbiased judgment based on the evidence and the reasoning. So super soul is not passive, but is neutral. Neutral in the sense that the super soul does not favor anyone. Na me deshoti na priya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.29, Samaham sarva bhuteshu. I am equal to all. I am not biased towards anyone. Udashinavat. He is detached. At the same time, he is also upadrasta, anumanta, he is overseer, he is permitter. He gives permission that is based on his judging. This person has done this karma. Therefore, this person is sanctioned to do this or not sanctioned to do this. According to this, he permits. It does not permit. So the super soul neutrality is basically that he does not take the side of anyone. Now, how is this conception reconcilable with deism? In deism, the idea is that God is the creator but not the controller. So if Krishna is the judge, is he still the controller? Yes and no. Everybody understand my point? If Krishna is the controller in the sense, he is yes and no in a sense. Krishna is the controller in the sense as super soul. He oversees everything. But at the same time, we must understand that super soul is also transcendental. Super soul does not exist in the material world. Super soul does not directly at the material level. Super soul controls everything, but controls through the agent. And in that sense, those agents, what is happening at the level of personal agency, from the point of view of the demigods, that sin is seen to happen from our perspective. From the perspective of modern science today as laws, So we may find that there are certain laws, that there is a particular pressure, volume, temperature, balance, shift when clouds are formed. The clouds shift from here to here. Then cloud comes and give rains. The modern science explains. I was discussing with one person also, he agreed. So we may see this in terms of mechanism, that is, vision is proper, but it is not complete. So we may find certain laws, certain equations that describes the formation of clouds and the distribution of rains. Of course, the natural phenomenon may not be precise, that you can make specific universal equation to describe these things. But still, even if we assume that there are certain natural phenomena which are governed by precise mathematical laws, still the point remains that the laws require a force. First, the law have to be made by someone, then they have to be enforced by someone. So the enforcer are the demigod agent of the Lord. And beyond them, the Lord is there. So the Lord oversees material nature. He acts as a judge, but he does not get involved himself in things, because he does not get involved himself. He remains transcendental. But because by his will, things are happening, so therefore it is said, Krishna is still the judge, super soul. He is still the overseer and permitter. Example is given. Chaeva Jasya Bhuvanani, Durga. Durga Devi moves as if she is his shadow. Icha Anurup. Icha Anurup. It happens, Saicha Ichitta. Prabhupada gives this example that when guests come to the house, the husband signals with the eyes and the wife brings the refreshment. Anybody ever see it in the house? It's true. I saw that. That's why Prabhupada gives that signal. So there is no contact directly between the husband and wife, but the wife carries out whatever the husband is desiring or suggesting. Similarly, with respect to the Supreme Lord, he does not contact material nature. In that sense, he is transcendental, but still he is in charge, and it is in his will which is executed. So the point of saying that this is reconcilable with deism is that at the material level, there are laws, and it is an error to mistake that just because there are the laws, that means there is no controller. When we say something is happening automatically, it doesn't mean there is no controller. It is simply means that we don't perceive the controller. There may not be moment to moment operation of the controller required, but still there is an overseer. There is a person who set up the system. Just that it is not visible moment to us. So the super soul is in charge, but the super soul is not visible to the eyes. The super soul does not get directly involved with the material nature. The super soul remains transcendental even by acting in the material nature. In that way, super soul, despite being a judge, is still neutral. I hope you can all understand that way. So any takeaway or any further discussion on this?
Prabhuji, thank you so much for explaining, Prabhu. I had that question on why, if Krishna has the super soul and super Godhead, then why Vedas have to glorify the demigods in detail? And many races and Vedas state glorifying them. It's very hard to understand, but you explained it very well. So the answer is that Krishna is expanding his mercy on to onto demigods for fulfilling the desires of the devotees who are getting to demigod. But ultimately, I mean, you probably I did not say it correctly, but you explained it very well, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mother Sushilpa Devi Dasi. Thank you. So I'm looking forward to see you all next week. If there is no other concern or question or reflection, we are looking, hopefully take advantage of this beautiful festival
Yes,
of
Prabhu.
Damodar Brata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama.
Rama, Hare.
Vanchakalpataruvesya kripa sindhavaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.